Hey everyone, just a quick note about concrete. There's we had a question about why do the concrete floors or the decking why is the cost so different from so many different companies? You can get a price, someone will tell you $4 a foot, all the way up to $12 a foot. And sometimes it varies, depending upon the amount of concrete being poured. If you're pouring 100 square feet, of course, it's going to cost more money, because it's not a lot of material, So, but if you're going to do, 2,000 square feet, then that's also a cost. It'd be less expensive per foot. But really, what I wanted to talk about is the difference in the quality. So a lot of times when you're going to have a concrete deck poured, people really don't know what they're getting. They just know that it's going to be in this area. So the differences in cost, from a $4 a square foot to a $12 square foot could be, one of the things could be the grading and drainage. So a lot of times you'll see, a concrete patio poured and it's sloped back towards the house, or it's sloped towards the middle of the yard, and so your tables and chairs are all cattywampus. So that's not what people expect, but that's what they get, because it's easy to come out and pour it on whatever the grade is, and so that's the lower cost. But when people expect their expectations to be met, it's they're expecting someone to come out and grade, someone to come out and backfill, and then they come out and they compact that terrain, and then also come in and bring in materials like primary screening to make that surface hard before they actually set concrete on there. So so not doing that, of course, would be less expensive. Doing all those things would cost more money. The other thing also would be reinforcement. So a lot of times you'll see pictures online, people doing work, and they're just pouring concrete on top of the sand, on top of the existing dirt that's in someone's backyard. The problem with that, of course, is a lot of times that dirt hasn't been compacted, so when it rains or when it's really dry, it can the grade can sink, or it can rise, and if you don't have reinforcement in your concrete, it can break apart. So reinforcement is another thing that's done differently. You have some companies who don't do anything. You have some companies that put fiber in the concrete mix. You have some companies put chicken wire or wire mesh, and then you have companies who do rebar, which is a bigger piece of steel. And when you do the fiber, I've noticed that it does add strength, but you could see some of the fiber exposed, so you'll see it on top of the surface. It doesn't look very nice. When people use wire mesh, of course, it's not as strong. The chicken wire, the wire mesh, it's sometimes they just pour it on top of it and it's on the ground, so it doesn't really reinforce it. But it's typically rolled up, and so when you unroll it, sometimes it's exposed or at the top of the surface. And if your concrete chips or cracks, you can see it, and then it becomes a hazard. Rebar, of course, having the rebar every 18-inch on center or 24-inch on center, have it lifted and set in the middle of the concrete as it's poured, will add, a lot of stability. I've actually had some concrete that's never cracked, but we always tell everybody there's two types of concrete: cracked and gonna crack. Sometimes it cracks when it's installed, sometimes, and we're talking hairline cracks, we're not talking, so it's more cosmetic than structural. But when you have the rebar in there, that's your best chance of your deck not having any issues. The other thing, of course, is the forms. A lot of times you'll see someone form a concrete patio, and then they'll put a stake on four corners of the patio, and that's it. And then you pour the concrete, and it bows out your forms because they're particle board, or they're or there's something inexpensive, and it blows them out, and so your square patio ends up being kind of having curves, or vice versa. You have a curvy patio, and then the curvy patio the forms bust out and it's all, looks like an egg. It's all oblong. So the outcome is aesthetically, it's not what people expected. So really, when the forms are set, 2x4s, or even like a hardy board, or something that's curvy, different materials can be used, but you want to have stakes probably like every 12 inches, every 24 inches, so that it keeps that concrete in place, so that your curve's a curve and so that your straight line's a straight line. So forming has a lot to do with your outcome. The other thing, it would be, who's actually doing the work, the installers, the labor guy. So sometimes you have just guys who, whatever you tell them, they can try and do, and it may not be, what you think it's supposed to be. So having guys who understand, workmanship, as they're installing, they are, everything's got forms, everything's got string lines, everything's, sloped a certain direction to minimize the amount of slope, but be good for drainage. So all these things make the price of concrete different. However, just coming out and doing your concrete is not, you need to consider other things like drainage and slope and where's it at. So you could have something really nice, but if you don't have it set at the proper elevation or graded with proper drainage, it's going to get full of water and, standing water. And of course, that's going to sacrifice the integrity of your patio. So anyways, just some information, that maybe can help you with your next project, or we can help you, and we do all the good stuff all the time. We're consistent every project. Thanks for listening, and check us out on our Facebook page and YouTube page, Instagram. Follow us. Thanks a lot.